John's Lutheran Church, just off of North Carolina 73, approximately 3 miles west of Mount Pleasant and 5 miles east of Concord. This is the church of the Goodmans before they became Presbyterians. It was established in 1745. My great-great-great-grandfather, Jacob C. Goodman, and his wife, Sophia Faggart, were members here. Sophia is buried in the church, in the cemetery. Jacob married again after her death, approximately 1820, and moved to Salisbury. His son, their son, Jacob Fisher Goodman, was baptized in this church, later moved with his father to Salisbury, and married Mary Brandon Knox. They became members of Back Creek Church at Mount Ulla and are buried there. It's the older cemetery at St. John's Lutheran Church. See this stone wall around it. This is the grave of my great-great-great-grandmother, Sophia Faggart Goodman, first wife of Jacob C. Goodman. She was born on the 28th of January, 1800, and died May the 3rd day of May, it looks like, 1826. This is Oakwood Cemetery in Concord, North Carolina. I have 2 sets of great-great-grandparents buried here and 1 set of great-grandparents. This is the Stewart section of the cemetery. This is where my great-great-grandfather, James Stewart, Dr. James Stewart, and his wife, Margaret Jane Morrison, and their children are buried. That's Kate Harris Stewart. She was the wife, I think, of Uncle Will Stewart. And here's the grave of Uncle Morrison Stewart, who was born in 1860 and died in 1905. This is the grave of my great-great-grandmother, Margaret Morrison Stewart. I think her name was actually Margaret Jane Morrison. She was the daughter of Washington Morrison and Mary Dinkins. And this is her husband, Dr. James Stewart, my great-great-grandfather, who was from Brownsburg, Virginia, attended Washington College, now Washington and Lee, in Lexington, Virginia. They were married about 1850, moved to Georgia during the war, and then to Concord sometime after the Civil War. Just beyond the Stewart section is the Fetzer section, their neighbors. Grandmother used to talk about the Fetzer boys. Fetzer Field at Carolina is named for one of them. Also in the cemetery at Concord are buried my great-great-grandfather, John Woodhouse. He was born December the 3rd, 1830, and died April the 12th, 1887. He was from New Jersey. And his wife, Eliza Jane Woodhouse, born November the 10th, 1832, died May the 2nd, 1905. This is the grave of John Harris Woodhouse, one of my great-grandfather's brothers. This is the grave of my great-grandfather, Hugh Irwin Woodhouse, born January the 14th, 1858, died September the 13th, 1933. And his wife, Mary Stewart Woodhouse. She was Mary Dinkins Stewart, formerly. She was born December the 24th, 1861, and died July the 28th, 1962. And this is the grave of their daughter, Elizabeth Irwin Woodhouse, born August the 27th, 1894, died June the 10th, 1985. She was the sister of my grandmother, Margaret Stewart Woodhouse, who married Walter Hall Goodman. Right in front of me here is the home of P.B. Fetzer and cousin, as grandmother and them said, Zeta Morrison Fetzer. They were my grandmother's next door neighbors in Concord, and some sort of distant cousins. This is the street that they lived on, my great-grandparents, Hugh Irwin Woodhouse and Mary Stewart Woodhouse. And that, if I'm not mistaken, is their home, or was their home, built sometime between 1905 and 1910. There are now two houses between the Fetzers and my great-grandparents' house. It used to be open, so grandmother says.